the answers, I change the question.
Rep screwed rep.
Yeah. Woo!
Who are you to doubt El Dandy? Because this guy's a serious professional.
Did he do it?
Too hot to handle and too cold to hold. And I am Macho King, you savage.
Shut your mouth, you thong-wearing fatty. I said WWE stands for... It's me, Austin. I will never retire.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Hey, yo, Pro Wrestling Podcast listeners, welcome to the show where we don't sing it, we bring it. Help us out and click subscribe to show your support. Are you sick and tired of dropping $60 to $100 for the latest and greatest wrestling game? Stop immediately. Go to Wrestler Unstoppable, available exclusively through Facebook, where you can create a wrestler, sign contracts, get into storylines, headline PLEs, even build your own corporation from the ground up, all included in Wrestler Unstoppable, available now to all Facebook users, totally free. If you want to become a member of the Pro Wrestling Podcast family, you want your name in the shoutouts like my good buddy John down in Texas, then check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/Pro Wrestling Podcast. Sign up today. Loyalty rewards are available. $15 a month contributor, you get to co-host a show with myself. $7.50 a month, you get entered into a drawing to also co-host an episode with me. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the Pro Wrestling Podcast. If you've got questions, comments, something you want us to touch on in a future episode, give us your questions over at the Pro Wrestling Sound Off line 267-642-1160, and we will get to those in a future episode. Tonight, lots of things going to jump around quite a bit. Dynamite just went off the air. Interesting results tonight. We did get some exciting news. We got the brackets for the Women's Tag Team Championship tournament that's going to take place. Here's one of the problems I have in pro wrestling, especially when it comes to tag teams. It seems like companies just don't put the value on the tag team divisions like I feel like they should. And then we get something like this where it feels like almost all the teams, not all of them, but almost all the teams are almost like thrown together last minute just to make the angle work. And I think it's really a shame because there's so much more you could have done leading up to this if you would have taken a few months to really build up some tag teams and actually create a division. Because that's one of the things that both, AEW in this situation with the Women's Tag Team Championship and WWE, they drop the ball as well. They really do, especially in their tag team division. We do have the tag team tournament bracket. We have Mercedes Moné and Athena are going to team up and join forces. They're going to take on Willow Nightingale and Harley Cameron in the first round. Toni Storm and Mina Shirakawa are going to face Alex Windsor and Rio in the first round. Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford are going to take on Anna Jay and Tay Mello. And Jamie Hayter and Queen Aminata, who won a four-way match on Dynamite to choose their opponents in the first round, they chose Julia Hart and Sky Blue for their opening match in the tournament. Look, I don't have a problem with any of these teams. I think what it really looks like to me is this tournament's going to come down to Mercedes Moné and Athena taking on Toni Storm and Mina Shirakawa. That's what I feel, and I feel like it's either you're going to give another championship to Moné, which she really doesn't need, or you're going to give Toni Storm an opportunity to do something other than be in the World Championship picture, because right now, obviously, that's with Chris Statlander. The rest of the show is pretty interesting. I thought the match with Okada and Bandito for the AEW Unified title was really well put together, but I think what's more exciting for me is seeing the clear dissension that's building between Okada and Konosuke Takeshita, the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, also a member of the Don Callis family. Obviously, that's going to come to a head possibly in the Continental Classic, but we're going to have to wait and see how that plays out. But I think that's one of the more exciting matches that they're going to have going forward. I was really kind of disappointed that we have more Death Riders interplay with Darby Allin and all this. Like, why have the big blow-off at Wrestle Dream if you're just going to come right back to it again? And, can we please be done with this insane feud? It looked like they were going to go another direction. Death Riders versus Roderick Strong, Mark Briscoe, and Orange Cassidy. It's just too much. The Darby Allin blow-off should have been the end of that feud. We need to move on to more substantial things and get people doing other things away from each other, because it's run its course. I think people were kind of over the Death Riders heel turn months ago, long before Moxley lost the championship. And I think at this point, it's kind of beating a dead horse. There's a lot of people clamoring for Moxley to potentially turn babyface. We'll have to wait and see. I know the way they ended Wrestle Dream certainly didn't help matters any, when, you get to use any blood, because, the city of St. Louis has, bans on those types of things. So you're using blood capsules, which, let's be honest, the fans are smart to the business. They understand that there's a no blood clause in that city. So they know that if you're going to see blood, it's not real. The angle where they tried to show the skewer fingernail part, gross, but also looked to be fake. And when your big spot is the fish tank issue, it's a 10-gallon fish tank you put in a kid's bedroom. You're trying to drown somebody. One, why are you trying to drown somebody in front of children? And two, when you lead up to the show with all the insanity they've had, including lighting somebody on fire and threatening Molotov cocktails, trying to drown somebody in a 10-gallon fish tank seems a little anticlimactic to me. So I thought they should have done something more at the pay-per-view. And by now, since you didn't, just separate Darby and the Death Riders. They need to go their separate ways. Not thrilled with what they're doing with the Ops. I'm not sure why they had the Ops go over the Hurt Syndicate. I think that was kind of a bad idea. Don't get me wrong, I'm glad the Hurt Syndicate have taken a loss at this point, and I think they've done it to the right people. But this I thought was kind of ridiculous. And Ricochet, he's another one. He's been dealing with the Hurt Syndicate for too long. It's dragging on. It's bringing the product down when you're just waiting for something to be over. And that's one of those things I really feel like needs to be done, because it's been done to death at this point. But all in all, Dynamite, not a terrible evening. Statlander is going to be at Full Gear taking on Mercedes Moné. They had an interplay there where she hit her with a Samoan drop, setting up their match. I'm sure it'll be fantastic. Either Moné collects yet another championship, or for some reason Statlander is the one who finally put her down. I don't know. I feel like we got to get some belts off of her. And I get it. Like, I heard conversations on Busted Open about why all these small companies keep putting their belts on her. And I get it. It makes a lot of sense. It pops the attendance for your show. It guarantees she'll come back at some point and defend. It really is a good thing, but it's kind of to the point of lunacy at this point, because I hear people comparing her to Ultimo Dragon. Dragon was collecting championships from reputable companies all over the world. Mexico, Japan, United States, Canada, Australia. It was different. This is like every mom and pop shop company that has a female belt is suddenly putting out a Mercedes Moné. It just doesn't feel the same. It doesn't have the same prestige to me, so I don't really like the comparison. I do love that Tony Khan came out and made it clear this week, I believe it was on his X account, that he was talking about the Continental Classic is going to come from the United Kingdom this year in Manchester. He said he's going to bring the Continental Classic back to Manchester and back to Cardiff. So that's going to be exciting. I'm curious to see what the layout is now that they have the championship merged with another championship. I'm not sure how that's going to play out, or is the tournament going to be for a shot at the Continental or the Unified Championship? I don't know. It seems very confusing. It seemed confusing for the last half a year, so we'll have to wait and see how that all plays out. But hopefully they find a way to keep the tournament feeling fresh, and bringing in some talent from New Japan's never a bad idea. Putting on some like first quality, first time ever matches is always a great idea. I think that's where we'll finally see Takeshita and Okada. But speaking of New Japan Pro Wrestling, there's also huge news of a potential match in New Japan. As many people know, Hiroshi Tanahashi retiring at the end of the year. Wrestle Kingdom will be his last match. And the word is, there is a backstage report that there is talk of Shinsuke Nakamura, a current WWE contracted wrestler who had it written into his original contract to be able to work Japan, that he may go back to New Japan Pro Wrestling to be Tanahashi's final opponent. And Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer Radio obviously feels the same. He thinks it is absolutely something that can happen. And, if Tony Khan is upset about that, it's just going to have to be tough, because there's apparently some difficulty in that relationship, as there is right now anyways. And This would not be unprecedented. When Carl Anderson re-signed with WWE, he was the never openweight champion, and they allowed him to go there and lose the championship to Tama Tonga. So the negotiations were difficult for that match, but something like this would be beautiful. And the opinion of Dave Meltzer is, if Tanahashi, it's Tanahashi's decision. He says, as a matter of fact, I got a quote here for you. It says, "My gut is that if I could, and it could be dead wrong, but even though WWE and AEW are feuding and all the stuff WWE does to AEW constantly, I do think that Tony Khan, I know people are going to go, oh, he's going to get really mad. I don't know, maybe he will, but I don't think so. I just think it's Tanahashi's retirement. If Tanahashi wants to retire against Nakamura, then they can pull that off, and I think it should be okay." I would love to see that. I think it'd be fantastic. It'd be a nice way to send off Tanahashi, giving him one last opportunity to go against one of his one of his greatest rivals. And I think it really speaks to, the leadership under Triple H if he makes something like that happen. I think that would be wonderful. And let's be honest, in a weird way, could open doorways to other things down the line. You just never know. There's been talk about WWE and New Japan in the past, a few years back when Daniel Bryan was a free agent and WWE was trying to re-sign him and allow him to work the G1 Climax. So you just don't know. It could go any way. WWE stuff, I'll jump through some of it. One, frustrated coming out of Monday Night Raw. One, I think they dropped the ball with Nikki Bella. I think if anybody is so blind to the fact that it's obvious she's going to turn heel and face Stephanie McCur, I question your fandom in wrestling. And I'm getting tired of things being way too predictable. It's really, really frustrating. The women's division right now with McCur at the top, she should be facing people like Rhea. Now, if you're going to save that for Mania, I get it. But there are other premium stars that she should be wrestling against. I also hate the way they're booking Roxanne Perez. She's almost like somebody who just shows up to take a pin to anybody. And I don't like that. I don't like that at all. The young lady's a prodigy. She needs to have her character protected, because if you beat her down too much, the fans are never going to get behind her as a legitimate contender for a world championship. And that can be somewhat problematic. So I did not like the Nikki Bella stuff. Don't like the Roxanne Perez stuff. Not thrilled with the Braun and Bronson not being included in the Battle Royal. I thought that was a missed opportunity. It really is. It's insane to me how that somehow plays into their storytelling. You could have had them in there and have them get eliminated by Jey Uso anyways, just to preserve that element of the feud. I know the word is they're planning for a Braun Breaker, Brock Lesnar interaction at some point leading to a match, and I'm fine with that too, but this was a night where they should have been in the Battle Royal. Now, on top of that, watching the Battle Royal, WWE dropped the ball twice more. One, I think when we finally saw the numbers dwindling, some people actually got a moment where they thought, is AJ Styles going to win this and have AJ Styles versus CM Punk on Saturday night's main event for the World Championship? And I am telling you, I would have been 1,000% okay with that. I think that would be the best match you could possibly put on at that show. When AJ gets eliminated, my attention immediately shifted, as did the fans when they lost their flipping mind when Jey Uso throws Jimmy out of the ring and you realize that Dominic Mysterio was still out there. Had they used Dominic Mysterio in this role and had Dominic Mysterio go against CM Punk, I don't think he would win it, but it would make for a much more compelling storyline. The fans would be behind him more. It would be very interesting. The Jey Uso winning the Battle Royal facing CM Punk, I'm not a fan. Not even 1%. I think one of two things happens. One, CM Punk wins. Period. And that's not just me saying that. Right now, the early odds are already out for Saturday night's main event. And right now, and we still got time, Punk is a minus 800 favorite over Uso at a plus 425. So if you go strictly with conventional wisdom, Punk wins. The only thing that could shake it up is if Braun and Bronson cost Punk the championship. That's the only thing I can see. Or if, and we all know that Seth is legitimately hurt, if somehow this has all been a ruse, which would be really bad look for WWE if they did it again in the same year, or if for some reason he appeared for some reason to prevent Punk from winning, because that's what he's always been saying, or Becky Lynch cost him the championship, that's possible. But we need a resolution of this World Championship situation. And if you're not going to bring Roman back and have him be the flag bearer, they should have made it Braun Breaker. And on that topic, let's be honest, I'm actually thinking it's time for WWE to consider changing his name to like Braun Steiner or Bronson Steiner or something Steiner. They keep referencing the family name, which just makes him more and more ridiculous looking to keep using Braun Breaker as his name. It's not his name. We all know it's not his name. Make him a Steiner. Just do it. Get it done. Be done and over with. The longer you hang on to this horrible name that I don't know who thought it up, but it was terrible, the less opportunity you're going to have to change it later. You really need to get on that. Also at Saturday night's main event, it's been announced that Cody Rhodes is going to defend the WWE Undisputed Championship against Drew McIntyre. Look, here's the thing. I don't know what else you do with Cody if you take the belt off of Cody. Let me say that first. So I think he has to win. At the same time, I am sick and tired of Drew McIntyre not being world champion. He earned it. He should be the guy. He and CM Punk had the best feud of the year last year. He's always on point. His matches are phenomenal. He can do anything on the mic. He can work the people on social media. What more could you possibly ask for? I think it is time to give Drew McIntyre a substantial run. But as I said, what do you do with Cody if you do that? Now, does he become the only guy other than Stone Cold Steve Austin to win 3 Royal Rumbles and go back to Mania and challenge for the championship again? I don't know. I'm not a big fan of that idea, but whatever. That's a possibility. But I really just think they're going to miss the boat if they don't put the belt on Drew at this show. I really think that's what they should do. I don't think they will. Kind of going along with what I said earlier, the AJ Styles Dragon Lee winning the tag team championship. Look, I'm happy for AJ to get a championship run in before he leaves. But at the end of the day, like at some point, WWE needs tag teams. And they have some that they don't push at all. I don't care how big of stars they are. The tag team division should not include prime-time, top-tier talent like AJ Styles, who at bare minimum is upper mid-card. This is where people like the War Raiders, people like the New Day, people like Alpha Academy and the Creed brothers. Like the Creed brothers by now should have been multiple-time tag team champions. They just should have. I don't know what they're doing with them. What a waste of incredibly talented people, but I hate the tag team division on Raw. SmackDown's is much better, but they really need to cultivate something. I honestly think they should have brought Phoenix over to Raw and had Phoenix team with his brother and go that route. I really do. It would really bolster that division if they did, but I'm not the booker. I'm just saying. Let's go down the rabbit hole here. AEW star, I'm going to say it that way because I guess technically that's what he's supposed to be. Andrade has been announced for an independent wrestling event despite the fact that he's supposedly under a no-compete clause. We know that he returned to AEW, attacked Kenny Omega, hasn't been on TV since. WWE issued a cease and desist alleging that Andrade was breaking his 1-year no-compete clause. We'll get to that in a minute. But Big Time Wrestling has announced that their latest show that in the Augusta Civic Center this November 1st, that they're going to have a meet and greet with Kurt Angle. They're going to have Matt Riddle versus PCO in a no disqualification match. And they're going to have Andrade versus Donovan Dijak, which is interesting because he's not supposed to wrestle for a year. Now, what I find even more interesting about that, for those who remember who he is, David Otunga, former member of the Nexus, who in real life is a Harvard grad and a lawyer, he tore into this whole 1-year no-compete clause. Like, don't get me wrong. A 90-day no-compete that you're paid, I get. But according to him, contracts as far back as his contract in 2017, which he pulled on his recent podcast, he said they had 1 year in those contracts. They choose to do the 90 days, but they can do up to the year. And they did a year to Andrade, and he questions, one, the legality of it, that preventing somebody from earning an income in their vocation for a full year unpaid would be thrown out by any judge. And I agree with that. It would take a while to do it. It would take some money to do it. But I think at some point somebody should do that to really get rid of these no-compete clauses. If you're an independent contractor, it would force companies to do one of two things. Either you don't fire people and you pay them, or you create a situation where people, if you're going to fire them, they can go work somewhere else, which is what they should be able to do. I understand their concern that people intentionally get fired whenever they want to leave, but that's what happens in business. It doesn't always go your way, and contracts like this are supposed to be mutually beneficial, and this is clearly not. Because of their 1-year deal without pay, that's where it becomes a legal issue. Now, I love that Otunga also threw out the possibility that WWE is pushing this 1-year thing for a reason. If they push the 1 year and AEW wants to settle with them, they can make a deal. Where, and I heard them talking about this on Coach's show on Busted Open also today, you could do an angle where the agreement between WWE and AEW would be that Andrade could return to the company before the end of his year if, and only if, WWE were to be able to use the services of Edge for John Cena's last match, and that might be the leverage they need to get Edge. I don't know if Tony Khan would go for it, and if I were him, I probably would not go for it. I think it's not a great idea. I think you should stick to your guns. You know your talent, and if anything, Tony Khan being in the position he's in financially, were I him, I'd actually finance the lawsuit to challenge it. I really would. Let's get these things out of here. They don't need to be a part of the business anymore. It's kind of ridiculous. So, interesting thoughts on Otunga's show, but I would not be opposed to it. Speaking of non-compete clauses, Samantha Irvin had apparently a 2-year non-compete clause. She's just finished the first year. I don't know if they have been paying her all this time. I didn't see a definitive about that. But clearly she has 1 year left till she can get free. I loved how Ricochet was posting online like he's her boss and will determine whether or not she goes back to work or not. But this is not unheard of. Renee Paquette also had a 1-year non-compete clause after leaving WWE in 2020. So it's interesting. She's been doing music ever since, but she also with a 2-year non-compete clause, which I wonder if it's another one that could be challenged very easily unless she's getting paid. If she's getting paid, then I think that she might be stuck. But at this point, 1 year left. The person who doesn't have a year, Lillian Garcia, in the news, signing a multi-year deal with WWE. She's returning. She was on, I believe it was on X, where she said that she returned like a year ago, and now she signed a 2-year extension with WWE. Good for her, one of the classic voices. And the last tidbit of contract news for the night, Mustafa Ali in TNA, his contract coming due at the end of the year. He's joining a long list. The Hardys, The Inspiration, Trey Miguel, Zachary Wentz, Cedric Alexander, like they all have contracts expiring. And you got to start to wonder, like, what the heck is going on in TNA with their contracts. You cannot have this many talent be coming up for renewal and certainly not put them in tag team championships on the men, tag team championships on the women. The Rascals, like, you can't afford to lose them right now, especially when Wes Lee is a free agent now. You can put them back together. So not a smart idea if you ask me when it comes to the way TNA is handling this, but I guess very soon we're going to see a rash of free agents, and I'll be curious to see where they show up. Ali was welcomed back to NXT for the program he just ran. Would not be surprised to see him return to WWE, and you know, the others could go pretty much anywhere. I'm sure the Iconics would love to return to WWE, so we'll have to wait and see, but definitely interesting stuff when it comes to contracts in TNA wrestling lately. That's all the time we have for this episode. Check back with us next episode. We run down the latest wrestling news and rumors. Special thanks, as always, to Suno for generating the music and sound effects we use in our show. Today's show is sponsored in part by Beazle Games. Bring a new friend to family game night. It's easy with sketchy people. Showcase your artistic side in this game from Beazle Games by going to thegamecrafter.com and picking up your copy today. If you're looking for your next career move, you're considering college or university life, maybe you just need some formal training for your next career decision, go to our website at frolifeplanning.com for all your higher education needs, as Fro Life Educational Planning is for today, for tomorrow, and for life with Fro Life. I'm Fred Froelich, better known as Dr. Fro. I want to thank you for taking some time with us today. Until next time, take care, everybody. Have a great night.